Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians or choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These
Okay, I was very happy it came up with the right camera. Let me turn that off because that's probably making a lot of noise. How are you all doing? And I do have ink in the printer now, so I don't have to be reading off of a screen. I hope you all are doing well. Today, I just put up, well actually, like within the past, half an hour, I just put up on the official Libertarian Party site a transparency tutorial on, God, I hate when my necklaces are all screwed up. I use my camera like a mirror. Oh no, my anarchy symbol. Anyway, I just uploaded to the National Party site a tutorial on how to follow the LNC business list. So I do hope you go check it out, and I am doing well, Libertarian 2A. And, oh yeah, before I forget, because I kind of got out of the groove of this, I took a little bit of a break because I don't like people to get tired of hearing the same thing, and then, you know, I have to get back in it. But my sponsor, Asteros, I think I want to move that up to where you can see it a little better. How about right there? So Asteros Cybersecurity Services is one of my sponsors, of which I am very, very grateful. And what they do is they poke and prod at your digital gates. They are the barbarians at the digital gates to find out where you have weaknesses. And you got weaknesses. Whether you think you got those of you who think you don't are probably the ones that have the biggest weaknesses. However, they will let you know what they are. So they do offer to my listeners a free surface penetration audit. I can't help myself.
That's what she said.
but they do offer a surface penetration audit. And what that will do, it will do a brief analysis to let you know where you might have some vulnerabilities. So if you would like to take advantage of that offer, please go to, pardon me, let me drink some rum. Oh my goodness. I swallowed bacon the wrong way. I was like stuffing my face with bacon before the show because I'm donating plasma tomorrow, and for some reason my body does not process protein like well. I could eat a ton of protein, but it doesn't stay in my blood. And sometimes I drive all the way out there and they're like, your protein levels are too low. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I like ate a whole pig the day before, which is I'm doing today. I'm just stuffing my face with protein. Okay, but I washed it down with rum, so perfect. Bacon and rum. Hey, hey, hey. So asteros.com/free. If you have an organization or a business, they will give you a free surface penetration audit. And I think that would just be fascinating. Personally, like to find out where you have weaknesses. I told the story before. One of my past employers did one of those tests where you have to take like a phishing vulnerability test, and it tries to, it's a multiple choice, and it tries to show you how your employees can be tricked into hitting malicious links and stuff. And I'm like, I'm really wise to this stuff, so I'm not going to fail this test. Well, I didn't fail it, but I did get a couple questions wrong, which shows that even people who are really wise to cybersecurity can be fooled. So check them out, asteros.com/free. And even though it is pronounced like Fred Astaire, it's actually spelled ASTEROS.com/free. Thank you. And I'm so glad I remembered to do that. Now, I don't have my own grifting along the bottom. Here we go. If you like this, man, I wish I brought water down because I can't really, I can gulp rum. It might be a more interesting show. Where did I get this little booze coffee mug from? When I go to these various states, I pick up shot glasses. This is from Chicago. Okay, so I got this at Midway. I love it. It's so cute. I could chug it, but that's probably not a good idea, or a good idea, depending upon what, you think makes for a good show.
Objection, speculative.
You're right, Mr. Fishy Man. That one was speculative. However, so along the bottom, if you enjoy this content, I would truly appreciate you becoming a patron. I did get one new patron today. Yay. And I have updated the ending video if I load it up before I end the show. So I truly, truly appreciate it. And all super chats matter. All super chats matter. I've got a $1,000 bill coming due. Well, it's not coming due. How do I word this? The LNC trip at the end of the month. East Coast, my God, I hope the next LNC meeting is in Denver. Let's just put it that way. Midway has weed donation boxes. You want to hear something crazy? I was just watching this documentary today about the synthetic weed or synthetic cannabinoid called Spice. I never heard of it before, and it turns you into a zombie. Is that the same thing as crocodile? I'm such a boomer. I don't know. I'm a terrible libertarian. I could pass a drug test, like to talk a good game, but I just drink my rum. Colorado is wasted on me because I do not like the devil's lettuce. Okay, but we're going to get going on our show. Oh, no, it's closer to bath salts. Okay. And I told you, even with the stream that crapped out, if you watched the uploaded version, I said I was going to do a little bit of search on newspapers.com to see if I can find anything interesting on the LP during that period of time. That's part of what your patron money helps pay for, is I do pay for a newspapers.com subscription because it helps with my historical research. And I found some super cool things. Not articles, but ads and a picture that I want to show you guys. There were hundreds of things through May through June. Oh my God, we got so much newspaper coverage for the June 1974 convention. Okay, this rum, Dave Davis, I should be sponsored by Captain Morgan's. This is Captain Morgan's Spiced Vanilla Cherry Rum. I know that sounds...
Objection, speculative.
It does. It does sound speculative. It's one of those things that could either turn out horribly or great. And it turned out great. It's great. It's just fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. So let me pull up these pictures I want to show you guys. Normally I share articles with you from history, but I don't know. I really liked these things. Okay, so this is from California. Check out this ad. Let me make it a little smaller. So this is, I'm going to put it right over my face. So this is from May 1974, an ad that was ran to advertise meetings of the California Party. And I just love it. Big government is strangling us. And this is in 1974. But, so 40 years of concern about political control and the Libertarian Party. Answer by George Robinson. I don't even know if that gentleman's still around. His name was all over California LP history during that time. And Roland Vandergrift. I just laugh at grift. That's pretty funny. Okay, so that's one thing I found, which I thought was super cool. And then here is a picture. Now, of course, it's a newspaper picture, and you know how crappy those come out, but check this out. Let me see if I can get this over to the side here. Look at this. So during a tax protest day, and I believe this was, where does it say here? I think this was Utah. I can't remember what state it was now, but we want to help steal money, Internal Revenue Service. That is just so awesome. That is just so awesome. Yeah, they were shit posting on literal signs. This was memes from the 1970s. This was trolling. 1970s era trolling. That is so awesome, Libertarian 2A. This is just a meme. It's great. And the last thing I wanted to show you, and I wish I had that picture in color, is an ad. And this is from the Libertarian Party of Canada. But we ran a very similar ad in the LPUS. So it seemed like those two parties were really close back then. So check it out. A New Dawn in Politics. And remember, that was McBride Berglund's. And now that wasn't till 76. But A New Dawn in Politics was their theme. So it's very interesting that we see this appear in an ad for the Libertarian Party of Canada before we see it in the McBride-Berglund campaign. And this whole, and you know I hate this expression, maybe you're a Libertarian and don't know it. I hate that expression. It's so arrogant to me, like it's saying you know people better than they do. But of course it could just be saying they might not know what a Libertarian is. I get it. I get it. But it has this cool little checklist. So I'm going to be posting this on LPedia on the Libertarian Party of Canada page. But anyway, so those are just things I found in newspapers.com. Okay, now I can scoot back over. Very low. Oh, that was me making my camera jump. All right, so we're going to get back to the LP News. So when I put it up on screen, that means that comments will not be able to stay, but we already went through the first page. What happened? It didn't print the second page? Well, I guess it's good it didn't print the oh, it printed front and back. Interesting. We already did Spotlight on State Parties. So we're going to the next section, which is page 3. So let's go here. And it will be the next page. Okay. Crane Royce seek LP chairmanship. Now what's interesting is in current LP news, we don't really highlight internal party candidates. That just becomes a political hot potato. I'm trying to get centered here, at least for this. But back then, they highlighted a lot who was running for internal party office. Crane is Ed Crane. Very prominent figure in the early party. Royce, I can't remember his first name. I think it was Eric. He was the author of the Royce Report. He was already on the LNC. They called it the Executive Committee then. I don't like changing terminology, so I'm just going to call it the LNC because it's the predecessor to the LNC. He was already on the LNC. I think he was a regional representative, but both of them were seeking LP chairmanship. Now, Ed Crane was chair at one time. I don't know if he won in 74, but Royce, I don't believe, was ever chair of the party. All right, so let's dive in, shall we? It says, as of May 6th, when this issue of LP News went to Scott Royce. See, I should have read ahead. Now you guys know I really don't read ahead. Went to press. Ed Crane and Scott Royce were the only two declared candidates for the LP national chairmanships. Other candidates may well appear prior to or during the national convention, and our publication of these two campaign biographies does not constitute an endorsement of either candidate. We hope that every LP member and convention delegates in particular will study this information, however, in order to make an informed choice for the national chairmanship. Okay. And Scott Kenneth Noble had said he was a libertarian, didn't know it until he saw the movie American Freedom to Fascism. I don't think I've ever heard of that movie. Okay, so this whole page is biographies of Crane and Royce, and we are going to go over them. And that might be all we do tonight, because again, I'm keeping these shows kind of short. And my husband is really eager to steam clean the carpet, which is the room right above here. I am in my basement. For, you know, those of you who haven't seen, it's quite an illusion. Let me see if I can show you a little bit here. Yeah, here's another camera angle. You can tell I'm in a corner of my basement. And right up there is the living room. And Wayne wants to steam clean, and the noise will totally come through my microphone, which is mounted to the ceiling. Now you know. It is a very cool illusion that I have this big room, but it is a tiny corner. Alrighty. Edward H. Crane III. Wow, that's a formal name. Let me have some rum. Is 29 years old. Look at how young Ed Crane is in that picture. And is employed as a portfolio manager by a major national investment counseling firm. He is a graduate of the University of California at Berkeley and holds an MBA degree in finance from the University of Southern California. All right, I'm learning a lot about Ed Crane here. And remember, all super chats matter. Oh, okay, I'm just reading ahead a tiny bit. Okay. Ed's political experience began in 1962. So that would have been 12 years prior to this, which meant he was 17 years old. So Ed's political experience began when he was 17, when he campaigned for Joe Schell and the California gubernatorial primary against Richard Nixon. He was a member of Youth for Goldwater. I told you how influential Goldwater was on the early party. Now, if you're one of my patrons, you can go through Radicals for Capitalism videos that I uploaded, which is patron only. Right now I'm going through the problem of political authority. But it talked about how Goldwater was very libertarian in some ways and a big disappointment in others. But one of the very libertarian ways that he was that attracted the very infant libertarian movement was his opposition to the Civil Rights Act. Now, I know that's not very, well, there were multiple Civil Rights Acts, so I put acts. Wasn't opposed to saying government shouldn't discriminate. No libertarian is opposed to that, but was opposed to the state interfering in private contractual relationships. I know that's not popular to say today, but that is the libertarian position, that social pressures is what should shame people who are rank bigots, not the law. The law just drives them underground. Wouldn't you rather somebody who hates you be open about it? All right, that was kind of a rabbit trail, but anyway. and worked as a precinct captain in Berkeley during the 1964 presidential campaign. Ed was a delegate to the founding convention of the Libertarian Party in Denver in 1972, and I'll be adding that information because I'm trying to recreate that delegate list. He also attended the 1973 convention in Cleveland and every meeting of the National Executive Committee. From September of 72 through March of 74, he served as vice chairman of the Libertarian Party of California. In that capacity, he attended dozens of local organizational meetings and delivered 5 editorial responses on television and 7 editorials on radio. He was also campaign manager for LP vice presidential candidate Tony Nathan in 1972 and is now an editorial assistant for Reason magazine. He is running for the LP national chairmanship on an 8-point platform. Let's see how similar or different this is to what we're all pretty used to here. Well, those of us who've been around at least a minute in today's campaigns for LP chair. All right. 1. Interesting. I love this first point. Ensure a continuation of the decentralized structure of national LP and affiliated state parties. The autonomy of state parties has been a big deal since the beginning. 2. As a first order of business, encourage development of state LP organizations in states where none now exist, using mailing lists extensively. Okay, that's not really applicable today. 3. Intensify fundraising activities through personal mailings to selected prospects and individual meetings with potential large contributors. Establish a permanent national LP fundraising committee. Now, mailings, aren't necessarily a big thing now, but this concept is still very relevant, and a fundraising committee is not a bad idea. I love committees. I know people say committees is where ideas go to die. I don't believe that. I believe committees can be very much, I'm a little cold. I'm sorry if you can hear that. Well, no, that's going to be loud. Hey, how'd my camera just go out? Okay, that really sucks. I hope you can still hear me. Well, that's my side camera. Turning that on, turning the heater on, made my phone camera go off. Okay, we're back again. Interesting. I believe committees are where volunteers go to be productive. Yes, a committee can be where an idea goes to die, but not if you have a good committee. It's where people go to be productive. So I like this idea. Number 4, send out written news releases to media continuously, still should be done, to keep LP name in front of media and make them aware of libertarian alternatives to contemporary politics. I want to show you guys something that you might not be aware of. So we're going to go back to this screen. I am going to hide the widget though, which is the chat widget, because I want to show you something on LPedia. So first let me pull up LPedia. Just give me 1 second. Which, if you guys are not editors at LPedia, you really should be. It's community source, so if your affiliate's out of date, you're the one to update it. Okay, yeah, hiding the chat widget. All right, so now you see LPedia, and I forgot what the page is called. Yes, press releases. I want you guys to see this page. Most of this, as you can tell, is from the early 2000s. So we have a lot of press releases from 93 through 2003. These are fantastic. They are absolutely, I want to show you some of these. Look how often we used to send out press releases. October 10th, 11th, 14th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 24th, 25th, 26th. We're probably just missing the ones in this month gap. There's no way they took a month gap. But this is fantastic. Look at all of these. It is wonderful. But I want to show you like how we would write a press release on everything. like for instance, there's one we did on shark attacks that I want to show you. Shark attack. Has the federal government's shark protection program caused the surge in savage shark attacks? We wrote a press release on shark attacks. Wow, that was 6 days before 9/11 though. But here we go. And Steve Dasbach wrote this. Interesting. So it says, don't blame the sharks, blame the government. Now I want to show you my favorite press release of all time. It's on low flow toilets. Yes, we issued a press release on low flow toilets. This is my favorite press release of all time from April 24th, 1997. Tempest in a toilet bowl. We're going to read this just because it's so great. All right, Tempest in a toilet bowl. And Bill Winter put this out. Bill Winter was fantastic. So it says, why politicians should repeal the 1.6 gallon toilet bowl law and put a lid on their meddling in American bathrooms. That's my bird screaming, if you can happen to hear that, because Wayne just brought the parrots in. That's Milo. He's got a big beak. There are so many puns in this press release. You would think, and now Wayne's running the sink. Wayne, cover the birds! Okay. So Washington, D.C., angry about politicians in your bedroom? Don't look now, but they're in your toilet too, libertarians say. And you shouldn't have to take that sitting down, bada bing. The latest government intrusion comes from Energy Department bureaucrats who mandated smaller capacity toilet tanks starting in 1994. The smaller tanks caused a flood, bada bing, of consumer complaints about backed up toilets and spurred a booming black market in the old style toilets. So now Congress is considering legislation to repeal the law. And then there's a quote. Politicians who claim the era of big government is over are busy regulating the volume of water in our toilets, says Steve Dasbach, Libertarian Party National Chairman. Talk about being bowled over by government intervention. As part of the Energy Policy and Conservation Act, which took effect in 1994, Congress outlawed toilet tanks with the standard 3.5 gallon capacity and mandated a 1.6 gallon tank in all new homes. A new bill sponsored by Representative Joe Nolenberg, Republican, Michigan, would repeal the law. But whether it is repealed or not, the war on 3.5 gallon toilet tanks has created yet another class of government mandated winners and losers, noted Dasbach. The losers, consumers. They are stuck with a product that many of them hate and can be fined $2,500 if they try to buy an old-style toilet that actually works. The environment. Homeowners may actually waste more water than they save because they have to flush the new toilets multiple times to make them work properly. The bathroom fixtures industry. It spent millions of dollars retooling factories to accommodate the new law, money which will be wasted if the mandate is repealed. And the winners? Black market toilet bootleggers. They're making big profits by selling a popular but illegal product, old-style toilets. And politicians. They get to pose as friends of the environment, even if they end up wasting water instead of preserving it. And then it concludes, the Constitution talks about the need to create a more perfect union. Politicians have interpreted this to mean they have the power to mandate a more perfect flush, Dasbach said. When it comes to imposing mindless, meddlesome regulations, what will it take to get politicians to put a lid on it? I'm sorry, that is brilliant. We used to be great at press releases. And we need to be again. Now, obviously, old-style press releases might not be the answer today. Maybe Twitter is the answer today, and our Twitter game's been on fire. But go through that archive of press releases. They are fantastic. And we did them nearly every day. Some days we released 2. Bill Winter was a genius. But let's get back now to LP News. But where's to Steve Dasbach for that too. Okay. Now we're back to what Ed Crane was promising. That's what caused that whole rabbit trail. Okay. 5, seek funding for a full-time executive director. Now, we've had that for a long time now. Who would implement decisions of the executive committee, provide office facilities and paid secretarial staff, office to be located in the same city as national chairman. Now, that was I don't know the right word for this, but it was very self-serving of Ed Crane. Why should the national office have to be in the same office as the chairman? The chairman changes every couple years. Are we supposed to be moving national offices every 2 years? Or are we supposed to be giving people from, say, in his instance, California, an advantage? The executive director should be a long-term position. The national office should probably be where you have the most talent for executive directors. But remember, at that time, there really wasn't telecommuting either. Ed Crane did win, and the national office did end up being in California for a while. A lot of people don't know. We've had national offices all over the country. We've already seen it in Colorado. There were multiple ones in Colorado. They go to California. I think we've also had it in Texas, and then Virginia and DC. Does anyone know where our national office was before it was now? I mean, it was in DC, but there's something more interesting. This is fantastic if you don't know this. Prior to buying the building, well, it's a condo. The space, prior to buying the space that we have now, we were renting offices in the Watergate building. Yes, that Watergate building. Michael Downs knew that. A lot of people don't. And there's actually a tragedy associated with that. Do you want to know why we're missing a lot of party records from the late 70s and the 80s? Because we had a storage facility that was in the basement of the Watergate, and there was a flood. Now, I know that flood kept getting more and more epic proportions over the years. I've talked about it. By the time I heard about it, you would have thought they had to get 2 of each kind of animal on an ark. No, it wasn't that bad. It didn't destroy our entire history, but it did destroy quite a bit of it. And there were rats. And we're not talking about the politicians. We're talking about actual rats. Wes Benedict has a picture of himself cleaning up the water down there and how he heroically saved a lot of records. Some people, who shall remain nameless, just wanted to throw the whole facility out. Wes Benedict is a hero of preserving history. Wes Benedict was instrumental in the Historical Preservation Project. A lot of people, one day we'll tell the untold story of Wes Benedict. Let me write him and get a copy of that picture, if he still has it, of him preserving what he could from the basement of the Watergate. Okay, number 6, assist state LPs in qualifying for ballot, I probably should say ballot access, in 30 states for 1976 elections with goal of outpolling People's Party, that's a different People's Party than exists today, and hopefully American Party, which I think is now the American Independence Party, but they're basically actual neo-Nazis from what I understand. Develop new literature aimed specifically at rational liberals and rational conservatives. And 8, cooperate with libertarian educational and non-political groups. And it's funny how 8 keeps coming back around, which is one of the promises of the current LNC. Yeah, Darren Polk, I'm a huge, let me put this up here because I forgot the chat's not showing. But Darren Pollock said Wes Benedict is a stalwart in the LP. He is. I adore Wes. He was a great executive director. Okay, next up, Eric Scott Royce. Oh, so I was right. It was Eric Royce and it was Scott Royce. He had both names. So I was right. Eric Scott Royce is a researcher for a legal defense foundation in Washington, D.C. He received his BA in government from the University of Virginia, where he was active in college Republican affairs and editor of The Shadow. Ooh, that sounds creepy. A libertarian conservative student newspaper. Scott has been a political activist for 7 years. Starting as a teenage Republican, he has worked with several Washington-based lobbying groups and has considerable experience in Capitol Hill affairs. He has been a member of the Libertarian Party since 1972 and has served as Region 7 Executive Committee rep since the fall of that year. So I was right, he was a regional rep. I thought so. As Region 7 rep, he has been extremely active, helping to organize LP groups in Maryland, Virginia, and New Jersey. He is currently executive director of the Virginia LP, did not know that, and editor of the Virginia LP newsletter. He is best known to LP members around the country as editor of the Royce Report on Congress, a semi-annual evaluation of each senator's and congressman's voting record, as assessed from a libertarian viewpoint. Scott believes that his location in the Washington, D.C. area and his relative proximity to the media capital of New York City make him an advantageous choice for national chairman. One of the first things he would do is to seek funds to establish a permanent LP office in Washington, D.C. So you can see a big issue in this campaign is where will the office be? And at the point of writing this newsletter, it was in Colorado. And intensive preparation for the 1976 presidential election. He believes strongly that the LP should encourage, or at least not disparage, the efforts of congressmen and senators who are in substantial agreement with the libertarian philosophy. It is important, he states, that we do not alienate potential allies by attacking those who are at least inclined in our direction. I don't agree with him here. Not that I think we should ever be attacking anybody, but I think we've learned through many bitter tears over the years, with a rare exception, very rare exception, nothing's ever a rule in these things, that liberty Republicans are Republicans first and care about liberty a distant second. Again, there are exceptions. Massey, and then Ron Paul when he left the LP to go to the Republican Party. Justin Amash, who defected over to the Libertarian Party. But in general, no, that's not a winning strategy. They will stab us in the back over ballot access every day of the week and twice on Sunday. When there are so few men in government who are at all sympathetic to our viewpoint and many who are openly and totally hostile. A Bible verse comes to mind. Revelation chapter 3, I forgot what verse is it. Crap, I'm thinking of our platform 3:5. What is the verse in chapter 3? It's in one of the letters to the 7 churches where God says, I know your works, that you are neither hot nor cold. I could wish you were hot or cold, but because you are lukewarm, I will vomit you out of my mouth. He's speaking of lukewarm people, and we should vomit them out of our mouth. That's my opinion. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All right. We're going to, even though I was just going to do this page, I want to do a little bit of wrapping up of some little short things that we can cover before leaving for today. Okay, what we're going to do before we leave for today, there's a very important notice and a personal note from your chairman and editor. So since we just dealt with the people seeking the chairmanship, it seems like it fits in with this episode to read the note from who will be the outgoing chairperson. So let's do the very important notice first. I think it's right there at the bottom of the left-hand column. The LP National Office, again, it's in Colorado at this point, will be closed during the month of June, except for information by telephone and emergency cases. Mail will not be processed. All new memberships, renewals, and material orders will be held and forwarded to the next party administration, so they're getting ready for convention. In early July, a bulletin will be sent to all national LP members and LP News subscribers, giving the party's new address. Mail sent to the Aurora, and that's Aurora, Colorado, P.O. Box. Yes, that is where the theater shooting was at the Batman movie, was in Aurora, Colorado, just FYI. will be forwarded. So next LP news will be issued in early August. So that we're skipping July. Okay. So if you need, well, maybe it'll be July, August, and just not come out to August. So if you need anything from LP National, order it now or wait until July. Okay. Now next, we're going to, at the bottom, a personal note from your chairman and your editor. We've covered this before, but I like to cover this a lot. You see, the very first chairperson of the party was not, well, of the committee to form a Libertarian Party was David Nolan. But after we became an official party, it was Susan Nolan. So David Nolan's wife at the time, they did get divorced. I want to pull something. We're going to go back here for a second. And we're going to go to Elpedia again for a moment. But a lot of people don't know that the first chair of this party was a woman, was David Nolan's now ex-wife, though he's deceased. But let's pull up Susan Nolan because I want to show you guys something very sweet if you haven't seen this. This is something I treasure. Okay, Susan Nolan on Elpedia. But let's scroll down. That's me and Susan Nolan in 2018. For a while, Susan dropped out of sight. People kept telling me they didn't know what happened to her, where she was at. Well, it turns out she never went anywhere. Where we are at is at her Denver home, where she lived with David for a while. This isn't Westminster. She hadn't gone anywhere. She just was no longer active in the LP. And unfortunately, I mean, I don't even know if Susan's still alive. This was 4 years ago. And she was suffering from Alzheimer's at that point. So hung out with her that afternoon with Dr. Joe Bookman. And she was in and out of lucidity. But when she did remember things, it was so precious. Oh, look, my computer's sitting right there, and it's before I put any of the stickers on it. That's funny. Anyway, I just noticed that, and that's interesting. And she made it clear to me, though. She was funny. In a moment of clarity, she wanted me to know. She looked at me, and she goes, I divorced him. Just so you know, I divorced him. But this really, really was a sweet time. Her new husband was also there. You can tell they're avid readers. This was such a cute downtown Denver home. Anyone who's been in downtown Denver, you can see there are books everywhere. Even up top, you can see up above that sit-in window. So that was a very, very precious time. And I treasure that picture. I think you can tell by the expression on my face that I'm really enjoying my time with Susan Nolan. As you can see by the succession box here, preceded by David Nolan. But of course, that was before the party was a party, and then succeeded by Ed Crane, whose campaign pitch we just read. So, it says view image gallery. I wonder if we have any other images of Susan. Oh my goodness, look at this, 1973. So there's me and Susan. Here's Susan again. So right there, look, that's her right there to the left. That's the same lady. So let's go back. So now that you see that picture, yep, that's her there. Multiple years later. Oh, she told me interesting stories about how she threw pasta at him. Anyway, it was a nice time. So, I want to, I wanted to see if there's another picture I wanted to show you guys. I can't remember where it's at though. Historical Preservation Committee. I think it might be on this page. There's a lot of super cool pictures on Elpedia, but maybe it's not crap. Where is this picture I wanted to show you guys? Let's pull up this one. Let me look through the gallery because I know I'm in the picture. So let me see if I can find the picture just by scrolling through this gallery. it will be old. No, maybe I didn't upload it to Lpedia. Okay, that is crazy. If I didn't, I'll get it for you for a future show. Interesting. I must not have uploaded it. There's a certain picture I am looking at for you guys. And I must not have uploaded it. All right, well, I'll get it for you for next show, and I'll get it uploaded to Lpedia. Anyway, so, yeah, there's Susan Nolan. Okay. And so we're going to go back to, we're going to read her personal note. Now you have a little bit of a picture of this woman in your head, so it's not just words on the page. It hardly seems possible that almost 3 years have passed since that first meeting of the Committee to Organize a Libertarian Party in Westminster. But they have, and really have 3 years been so busy. Looking back, it seems almost impossible that so much has been accomplished in so short a time. In only 34 months, the fledgling LP has grown to approximately 3,500 members, making it the third largest minority party in the country, and tied with 6-year-old SIL, which is the Society for Individual Liberty, for the largest libertarian activist organization in the world. We've sent out over 250,000 pieces of material. Most popular, the recruiting brochure, which has sold over 55,000 copies. In addition, our various state parties have distributed over 1 million pieces of literature. And it's all been fun. Through the LP, we've met some of the nicest and morally finest people we've ever known. We've had a lot of exciting and memorable experiences we'll never forget. But to be honest, we've kind of worn ourselves out. 98 pages of LP news, hundreds of phone calls, and thousands of hours doing party work have left us pooped. So while we've enjoyed it immensely, we're looking forward to taking it easy and letting others carry the banner of liberty onward and upward to ever greater heights, as we are quite sure they will. Susan L. Nolan and David F. Nolan. So that is a very sweet way, I think, to the closing note on this show. But something else I want to notice, like, I never got to meet David Nolan. Very, very sad about that. So it was particularly precious to meet Susan, and I've also know David's widow, the lady he was married to at the time of his passing, Elizabeth Nolan, who lives in Arizona. But what's very interesting to me, I feel like a connection with David Nolan in a weird way. I'm very woo-woo like that. But what's interesting to me is David gave birth to this party quite almost literally. I mean, he didn't have a womb to carry it in, but, he did through a lot of... the lighting is getting really weird in here. I'm noticing on my screen. Sorry about that. The light seems to be changing tone. Anyway, I can't imagine the emotions he had gone through over the years. And it kind of culminated right before his death. He wasn't all that happy with the direction the LP was taking. They deleted the platform, put in what he felt was a watered down platform, and he felt they were going astray. There's a letter and an admonition from David Nolan. Maybe we'll close with this, because I feel his pain. It must be so hard to create something that you love so much and then letting it be itself. The minute you start it as an organization and you have elections and things like that, it's out of your hands. It can turn into something that you hate. It can turn into something that disappoints you. It really is like a child. I'm going to see if I can find this letter from David Nolan. I think it was called Monday Message. Yep. Okay, this letter was written 1 year before David Nolan's death. And I could be fooling myself, but I've gotten to know David pretty well, as much as you can without actually ever knowing somebody. the way a historian knows somebody, by examining their life and their writings. And I think David and I would have gotten along really well. And I also think David would have been really proud of what happened the last convention. I think he would have had hope once again. Because I'm going to read to you the letter he wrote in 2009. David died suddenly of a heart attack in 2010. I became a member of the party in 2014, so I missed meeting him by 4 years. He died pretty young. I think he was late 50s. He wasn't much older than I am right now. And he died of a heart attack while driving. But when I read this letter, I think you're going to hear his pain. And I can completely relate to it. It resonates with me. So I'm going to read aloud this letter from David, and this is what we're going to close with. So here is the letter from David. July 17th, 2009, on Party Principles, to the LNC by David Nolan. Herewith, my best wishes to the members of the Libertarian National Committee as it convenes for business in St. Louis, Missouri. You are voluntarily spending your own time and resources to advance the cause of liberty in America, and I commend you all for your commitment. I hope you will proceed in a spirit of amity and urge you to use your time productively. Things never change. This next sentence. Do not waste it on internal bickering, attempts to censure or expel other libertarians, and other such trivia. Oh my God, the last time I read this letter is before what happened to me. Woo. Oh, that just got me in the feels, man. That got me in the feels. Remember, 2008 is when they did to Angela Keaton, or they tried to do to Angela Keaton what they succeeded in doing to me. So this is what's in David's mind as he writes this letter. That they tried to throw Angela Keaton off the LNC because she criticized them and wrote political satire about them. The parallels between me and Angela Keaton are so scary, it's not even funny. Except for Angela Keaton knew she was being railroaded, unlike me, who actually thought I had a chance at that sham of an LNC meeting. So at her sham of an LNC meeting, instead of defending herself, she just got up and thanked the LNC for compiling the best of Angela Keaton in their little dossier of evidence against her. And of course, Angela Keaton is also famous for saying to Austin Peterson, actually, that she's had menstrual chunks bigger than him. That was Angela Keaton. And however many years later, me and Angela Keaton ended up at a strip club in Las Vegas. So I've watched strippers with Angela Keaton. Anyway, all right. So do not waste it on internal bickering, attempts to censure or expel other libertarians, and other such trivia. God, I think David would have been appalled by what happened to me. Our country is in deep trouble. Now more than ever, the Libertarian Party must offer a coherent and compelling alternative to the stale policies of statism. People are ready to hear our message, if that message is stated clearly and boldly. The success of Ron Paul's 2008 campaign and its outgrowth, the Campaign for Liberty, show that millions of Americans are hungry for real change. And there is an important lesson to be learned from the success of the Paul campaign and the Campaign for Liberty. That lesson is that it pays to be bold. Oh my God, we are reliving history. Notice that the grassroots uprising sparked by the Ron Paul campaign calls itself the Ron Paul Revolution. Oh my God, he would have been so happy by what happened last convention. I just know it. Not the Ron Paul gradual reform movement. God, I love him. They're calling for ending the federal personal income tax, not just mouthing empty platitudes about lower taxes or more freedom. Compared to what? What we have now? Obama's proposals? And they are gaining adherents far more rapidly than the Libertarian Party is. The Campaign for Liberty currently has 5 to 10 times as many members as we do. And here's the part where I felt his pain. I never really paid much attention to those opening 3 paragraphs, but now after what happened to me and the Reno reset, oh my God, do they ring true. But here's the part that I used to concentrate on. As I see it, the Libertarian Party has gone far astray from its original mission. Somewhere along the way, our commitment to being the party of principle was replaced by a shallow, opportunistic goal of winning elections now. Any election, anywhere. Principles be damned, according to the proponents of this vision. We should back off from scary positions, tone down our rhetoric, find out what voters want, and tailor our message to what they want to hear. The nadir of this mindset was reached in a Monday message dated March 9th, 2009. It carried the heading, "The most important principle is winning." I would be hard put to come up with a statement more antithetical to our beliefs and purpose. Just for starters, winning is not a principle at all. It might be a goal or a strategy for achieving our goals, but it's not a principle. And if it were, it's not our principle. That is pure opportunistic rubbish, exactly what you would expect from a Republican or Democratic Party hack. No, the most important principle for libertarians is the principle of self-ownership as set forth in the preamble to our platform and our statement of principles. These are the standards by which every policy statement and every campaign must be judged. Anyone who is uncomfortable with this yardstick probably ought to be in another party, one where the most important principle is winning. My fellow libertarians, our party is at a crossroads. Either we stand up boldly for liberty or we lose all relevance. The voters who want real, meaningful, substantive change will direct their energies elsewhere, while opportunists who seek short-term electoral victories will support the Republican and Democratic politicians who offer a far better chance of winning now. I urge each of you to bear these thoughts in mind during your upcoming meeting. Yours in Liberty, David F. Nolan, July 17th, 2009. Wow. Okay, David. It may have taken 13 years, but we took the party back for you. David was right. And we floundered in the wilderness since that time. And now we're out of the wilderness. We better do something about it. I'm going to send this letter to the LNC right now and say, are we taking David's words to heart? And I'm going to urge this LNC, even though I don't need to, they're not opportunistic hacks, but we're going into our first message. And I'm going to close with the same words that David did. I urge each of you to bear these thoughts in mind during our upcoming meeting. Immediately after the show, I'm sending that off to the LNC. My word. Oh, woo, that got me in the feels hard, man. Okay. That's it for tonight's show. I need to load up. If you give me, you're going to see a blank screen for a second because I need to load up my new patron outgoing little reel because I updated it with the new patron. So, oh, whoops. Well, you're going to see me sideways first and choose file. Okay. I'm uploading it now, so I will see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Bye-bye.
Given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business.